Hey everyone, it's a patient hodler coming at you with another very big market update, and it's looking really great right now for crypto. So that means we have to take a closer look at the market, at the charts, what they're telling us, because obviously we are coming closer and closer to the final stage, the final leg, or we might be even in it. So we are going to look today at several charts that will give us the exact point where we are in the cycle and what is coming next. If you enjoyed these market updates, these larger market updates here in video format, then smash up the like button right now. Let me know through the likes that you want more of these market updates, and let's jump right into the topic here. So we're looking at the Bitcoin setup here. This setup is a very long time present on this channel, on my channel, and we have this inverse head and shoulders here drawn in, I think, since way over a year. And we are looking at it for a breakout towards our target at roughly 135,000. So how do we come to this target? You can do that for yourselves on TradingView. You have to go with Alt L out of the logarithmic, because otherwise your targets will be wrong. Then you go from basically your neckline that you're having here for the inverse head and shoulders all the way down to the very bottom of this move. And then you go to the breakout with the measured move, and it will give you roughly 132,000 target, rounded 135k. That is where we expect the Bitcoin price to go. But obviously TA is only one side. The news need to correlate. We need the global M2 as we're following it all the time. But I think it's very interesting to look at this setup at the same time, right? And if we see it here in the non-logarithmic, we see that Bitcoin has been breaking through the neckline here. Basically, we had our breakout there in the end of the last year. We came all the way back, and I said at this point, you remember, everyone who is subscribed, that if we would lose this, it would be basically over. So we were looking forward to hold this on a weekly and on a monthly level, and voila, we did hold it on the weekly and on the monthly level, of course. And we have ourselves then following it up with a nice bounce, and now fresh out of the oven with a new all-time high at 111,985, which is then hopefully to be broken subsequently. Of course, there's always FUD. You guys remember that here was the FUD of a triple top on the macro scale, right? Bitcoin would have put in a new high and then bear market, right? Everyone thought they were right here in calling that, and look where we are right now. Of course, then here people said, okay, we topped out now because this and that, institutions and so on, and that we have a triple top here. Again, people are calling the triple top, and I call bullshit, right? As I called bullshit here, it just didn't make any sense from the cycle where we are in the cycle, neither timing wise nor in any other logic that made sense that we are topping out here, nor does it here, right? The indicators show that we are not topping out at all. Look at the TSI. We go to the monthly, and you see we have this trend line here for the TSI. The green lines, by the way, are halvings. We have seen a lot of spikes here, but nowhere near to this downward sloping trend line on the TSI. So far, the TSI has called, going on the logarithmic quickly, the TSI has called very accurately the tops, as you see here, right? Here's the top, then here's the top, right? It has called the first top, not the second top. Basically, in the second top, it called the bear market, okay? So the bear cross here and here called accurately the bear market, not to the exact point, but so far, this indicator hasn't been wrong at all, right? It called the bull market here, right, as we had our first pump out of this already. So we are expecting this to hit the line somewhere in August, September or so, which would coincide with a 500-day rule, right? Buy 500 days before the halving and sell 500 days after the halving. That would be 2nd of December. But before we have that, we will probably have a really nice run. And the next indicator that supports that is The RSI, look at that. Usually we are topping out when the RSI is way higher. Maybe we have a downward sloping RSI, but we're nowhere near. We're looking to go to the 88 level here for the RSI, at least to be just under this level in case that everyone is looking at that level. That would be then the point where I would say, okay, maybe the top is in if we are coming closer to that. Obviously not solely, this is not the only factor, but look at that, we are not even in overbought territory, okay? So the RSI also doesn't support that. Looking at the stochastic RSI, we had several bull crosses for the stochastic RSI, always leading to like 80% pumps. And we just had another, or we are going to have another bull cross here for stochastic RSI, as you can see in this last blob here. And then hopefully a multi-month momentum. And that coincides with global M2, as we will be seeing in a second as well. So these are the main indicators that I'm looking at on the monthly chart here. So the TSI, the RSI, the stochastic RSI for momentum, and obviously the setup in TA, right? Additionally, I'm looking at the multi-factors, but these are the time frames that I'm looking at. Monthly and weekly. I don't care about the daily, because if you're looking at the daily and you're looking at altcoins, you're like, man, we get wrecked all the time for altcoins, right? And there's a reason for it. Because the time for altcoins is just not yet. It's Bitcoin time. Bitcoin is in the narrative, institutions, president adopting, strategic reserve, which countries are moving in, sovereigns, yada yada. Look at my latest short. The Binance CEO just confirmed that all the institutions and so on are moving into that, right? Additionally, we have some FUD, short-term FUD. It's only noise, but everyone wants to make a big deal out of it. So we have President Trump says he will be imposing 25% tariff on Samsung products if they are not made in the US. This comes just hours after threaten the same tariffs on iPhones if they are not made in the US. Obviously, that is a big problem then for the supply chain, because basically someone made the calculation that if these products were manufactured directly in the US, they would just 10x in price, right? I don't know if it's that drastic, but obviously we have seen it before with UK. There's already a deal with China. There's going to be a deal and so on. So we will see this solved. It's short-term FUD, it's noise, it doesn't matter, because this is the actual leading indicator, the one indicator that we need to know where the price is going, right? And everyone is like, oh yes, global M2, yes, global M2 is telling exactly the truth. But if global M2 predicts a dip, everyone forgets that also will happen, right? And then it's like, why is it going down? We just had all-time high, that's it, we topped out, the altcoins getting wrecked, there will be never an altcoin season, NFTs are stupid. No NFTs will ever come to anything, right? All the FUD is coming in, all the fear is displaying, and the bears are suddenly quickly in the driver's seat. So I say always, if we have M2 leading on a 3-month lead, and this is where it's going to, don't ignore the dips, because look at this dip is coming from 111,000 all the way down to 105,000 or so, right? So if we go then to 105,000 short term, why are you fearful? It's just predicted, as well as the next leg up that is coming after that, pushing to 120K. And then there will be another dip back down to 115K, right? And then another push to 130K. And funnily enough, I just showed you in the beginning of this video, prediction from the inverse head and shoulder set up to 132K. Look at where global liquidity is just moving around right now, somewhere between 130 and 135K. We could go much higher. It doesn't, like the inverse head and shoulders breakout only predicts the next target, and then we'll have a new chart pattern, right? So it's not the end of the story. Potentially, we're just putting in new all-time highs at 135K, right? So keep that always in mind. Another one is that I'm looking at is gold, right? Gold is rallying, and usually Bitcoin is following, right? So we had just this setup here from gold versus Bitcoin. Now gold is rallying again. Gold is at 3,357 per ounce. The all-time high at 3,500 roughly, right? A little bit less, 3,491. If that breaks all-time high, well then we are not done yet, right? Why is it pushing so hard? Because we are getting a global M2 expansion, but we're still in risk-off mode, right? So everyone goes with a risk-off playbook until this money expansion leads to the point where everyone feels confident about the economies in this world again, and confident to ape into more degenerate stuff. Gold is not degenerate. Gold is risk off. Bitcoin is within the crypto space, the risk of play, and then everything else is risk on, right? Ethereum and so on. We just see it shifting. We just see that money is also moving into Ethereum, right? If you're looking where the money is flowing right now, we see that also here is a little bit conservative. This is the USDT dominance, so US Tether dominance. And we see that we have been falling, but now there is some noisy area where we just don't get the allocation just yet. There's another chart in the more global space that I'm going to show you in a second that displays the same thing, only that it seems to be front running this a little bit. I bet we are going to maybe wiggle around here for a couple of days. This is the daily chart, and then we're going to lose this level and we're going to see a pump, a mega pump in crypto, right? When this drops, this is going to be to the next level. This is going to be 1% of all US Tether, and similarly USDC also, that is going to be allocated in the market. We are sitting at 4.6% of a roughly $2 trillion or $3 trillion market cap in total. 1% of that being allocated very, very soon, right? We are going to 3, and then that is 3.6%, so that would be 0.5%, and then we are going down here, and that would be then 1%, right? That's a shitload of money that is going to be allocated here in the market. At the same time, we see that it's Bitcoin season still. We are not sure if we topped out here and going into an altcoin season. It doesn't really look that way. We still have higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. We don't really see something like that, right? So I'd say it will come somewhere here, but I'm not going to get myself into another prediction because I thought it would have topped out here. It really looked like a clear drop-off, and then suddenly Bitcoin came back strong and sucked all the liquidity, all the movement, all the money out of the altcoins. And the question is, how long will that happen? Well, I think it will happen until the risk-off mode is off and risk is turned on, right? And then people will go, oh, Ethereum is pumping, let me allocate to Ethereum, let me allocate to that trade, and what else is there? Oh, Chainlink, Avalanche, Sui, Gala, I don't know, Near Protocol, whatever all these big coins are. And then, and Doge and so on. And then maybe we'll see the tumble and drop off and more money flowing in. But we're not there yet. So I think the time for positioning into altcoins is still here. But it's very, very risky as always, right? Not financial advice and so on. S&P 500 is another one interesting to look at, right? So we have been trending, this the monthly, over the last year or so. We have been trending up, and then we lost the trend line. Every time we lose the trend line, you see it here trending up, lose the trend line, bam, crash, right? We just saw this crash. Everyone is predicting a crash, but that was the crash. And they are going to print this away and probably putting it on at least 1 year trajectory until we crash again, right? The question is, how long can they do it until we see a mega crash? Well, I think like every time this happens, every time we see a trend line, loss, right? Trend line, loss. Every time we see this, the market and everyone else goes crazy and predicts the end times of hyperinflation, something like Weimar Republic, and like the end of the financial system, basically, right? The end of the dollar as a currency. Well, it's not going to work that way. If everyone is aware, it's probably not going to happen. It will eventually, but people were wrong since basically I am following financials, which for me is basically since 2008, because that was the first time that I really remember I'm not old enough to remember actually financial stuff from 2002 because I was literally 11 years old or so. I didn't care, right? I collected Pokemon without financial looks into the future, right? So now, what is likely going to happen? They're kicking the can down the road. They have lowered the official inflation rate. They are going to debase everyone's money once again, and they are going to push this out, right? Trump is already actively working on it. He wants to fire Jerome Powell because he doesn't do what he wants, like kicking the can down the road a little bit faster. You see the S&P just recovered massively, strong buying power coming in and so on. So yeah, S&P 500, Nasdaq, all these will recover. And look at the dollar, right? So the dollar was extremely strong in January 2025. Trump came in and said, we want it weaker. And what happened? It went weaker. We did say that this is the exact same playbook as in the last cycle of Trump, which was, what was the last cycle of Trump? I think it wasn't it here. Yeah, Trump came into office here, and it was the same thing, right? And then we had another, I think this was then Biden, and then we had the same thing, right? And then, well, actually, not sure exactly what years that were, but you see it. All of these are basically Bitcoin bull markets. And here we kind of was a bear market. This was all the bear market, and the bear market ended. But now we see for the first time that this is not a fake out. This is not a drill, right? We had looked over the years on this channel at all of these tentative attempts to drop out of the dollar, and here we thought, it might be happening, but then it was a fake out and it was rising again, right? And here is another fake out, and then here we see, okay, it's not a fake out, it's actually bearish retest, right? Bearish retest, and probably we are going to go lower, and that will be when this happens, right? This is going to be our last leg for, I don't know how long this will be. This is the weekly chart, so maybe we are going to drop fast here, but there's basically nothing until this level of 93, and if the dollar falls this way, we're going to pump hard out of Bitcoin, right? And that is where I would say that is where the altcoin season really is going to happen as well. So everything, if you're paying attention, everything is coming together. I could just sum it up in the end, I will. But let's first of all look at altcoins, right? Altcoins, they basically stop getting wrecked. This is the total two, everything without Bitcoin and stablecoins. It faked out to the downside, but it bounced in the end. So we still have this trend intact. Here, 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 right? These are bounces. And we're looking for, okay, challenge the all-time high from here and get past it, right? This is where altcoins are looking stronger, and this is where degeneracy starts, right? Look at it on the total 3, exclude a little bit weaker Ethereum for now, driven by Solana and the bigger coins. We have bounce, 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 3 bounces, right? And we are looking to challenge the all-time high and then go nuts, parabolic, right? The only really laggards are the others, because the weaker, like the smaller altcoins. I think it also has to do with altcoin dilution and the fact that we're totally risk off, and this is like the most risk on that you can get besides NFTs. And we see also here bounce, 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 fake out, bounce-ish. And now, question, can we over the next weeks challenge the all-time high and then go parabolic and completely nuts, right? I think we can. It all depends on the other factors, like I showed you before, the global M2, the dollar, DXY, and so on. So sum it all up, we have a massive, mega bullish inverse head and shoulders, breakout retest confirmed, bam, to new all-time high, target 135,000 based on that thing. The TSI says more bull. The RSI says not even overbought. The stochastic RSI says bullish, cross, right? We are still in risk-off mode. Gold is pumping, Bitcoin is to follow, right? The global M2 says we have a dip for a couple of days, and then we go more, right? The USDT says, hey, money is held back, but we are probably going to collapse very, very soon. Allocate all of this shitload of Tether into the market. Tether is being printed as hell right now, and the altcoins are not yet to pump, and there might be a little bit more pain ahead, right? We see the S&P 500 is likely to recover based on what is coming out in the next days. The dollar is getting wrecked, which is good for us, right? And then probably going to fall like a rock over the next couple of weeks and months. The total 2 is bouncing, the total 3 is bouncing, the others is bouncing but weak bounce, And so everything is coming together really, really nicely here. In my opinion, this here is short term. The long term, we see already that altcoins are very, very green, and I think everything will work out in the end. So we have to do this exercise more and more on this channel to keep you guys updated, and for me also to keep myself updated. So if you enjoy this, then smash up the like button right now. Let me know that you want to have more of this. Subscribe to the channel, notifications on, and comment down below what you think is the next play, like which altcoin is the next play to get massive returns. Let me know your favorite altcoins. And guys, wherever you are on the world, have yourselves a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon, and I catch you in the next video or live stream. Bye bye.